Since people wanna act stupid, I'm gonna talk about the top 5 most dangerous roads in the entire world, so keep watching. For number 5, we got the Atlantic Ocean Road, located in Norway. Now this road may look amazing, and it connects to many islands, but looks are deceiving, and you'll see next. As you can see, a bunch of the Atlantic Ocean water gets on the bridges and highways, which is very sad and unfortunate, and it makes it hard for cars to drive, causing them to slip, and you can even slip off the road if you're not careful. For number 4, we have Highway 80 in Iraq. This road is dangerous because it's been through a bunch of wars and conflicts for decades, causing a bunch of cars to be on the road, beat up, and a bunch of people in the cars that are deceased. And this road has been around for years. Nobody's able to clean it up. And so, if you drive down this road, you're gonna have nightmares. For number 3, we have the Les Passages de Gois. This is a very dangerous road that's located in France. And on low tide, you can drive on it. But when it's a high tide like this, it's very dangerous. It takes you to the island of Noirmoutier. So if you're driving on this road, be careful. For number 2, we got the Road of Bones, which is very scary, and it can get very cold and very dangerous up here. The reason why they call it the Road of Bones is because they use people, in this picture for example, to build a road for a long time. They had no brakes, and they forced them to build this road, causing many people to die. And so the people that died got buried underneath the road, and they kept building it. So if you're ever driving on this road, be very careful and don't get creeped out by all the bodies underneath. For number 1, we have the North Youngest Road, which is about 4,800 meters high and 3 meters wide, which is a very bad ratio. But over 300 people have died on this road since 1994, which is very sad and unfortunate. Oh yeah, how the heck are you finna get out of this situation? Look at this. Like, really, how? So, is this list valid? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, follow, and comment. Also, this is for educational purposes only.
Welcome to Foulness Island. The name is unfortunate. It either meant muddy headland or possibly bird headland a few centuries ago. It's about 9 square miles, around 150 people who live on it, but unless you are one of those people or you've got business with them, you will not be allowed in. Most of the island, and importantly, the road and bridge that get you onto it, they're owned by the British military and they will turn you away. But despite having no business here, I am on the island, legally. And that's because I didn't use the road and bridge. I walked along a very different path to get here. The Broom Way has been called the most dangerous, most deadly path in Britain. It goes back at least 600 years. And the only reason that I walked here safely is because I had a guide. A few miles back before we set off, I asked him a few questions.
Historically, there is reportedly 60 to 100 casualties on the Broom Way. The main thing is the tide. It whips round from the North Sea and sort of would come from not as you expect it, sort of straight on from the horizon, but it'll often spiral in to the coastline, and so it'll cut you off from your pathway. It's very easy to get lost out on the Broom Way, particularly in low visibility conditions when it's raining or there's low fog early morning, late at night. As there's no features or markers to take your bearing from, you can get very quickly disorientated. Quite often people will naturally walk further out to sea as opposed to back to land. The Broom Way is only open at the weekends for the public. The MOD use this as an active firing range, and they have done since the late 1800s. And so one thing that we might see out there is leftover ordnance. They do a pretty good job of cleaning up after themselves, but it doesn't mean that we won't see any out there. I've seen shells sort of this big. You just have to really keep your distance. Shell craters are also a problem because of the exploded ordnance that have gone off. So it's essentially quicksand. And so there'll be pockets of sand which are really soft and mushy that your feet will sink into, that we have to be careful of. I only guide walks when the tide is constantly going out. So we are 3 hours after high tide. The tide is still on its way out, and we should be coming back here as the tides are turning.
So obviously we made it. Thank you, Tom. The path's called the Broom Way because back before the military built their bridge, back when it was the only access onto this island, it was marked by brooms every 30 metres or so. Now, to 21st century people, that implies like broom handles sticking up the ground. But no, I tracked down a photo from 1922 and the brooms were just short lumps of brush. But over the last century, those brooms stopped being maintained. They were either swept away or eroded, and now the path is unmarked. but it's still on the map. It's still a legal path. Permanently closing a right-of-way in Britain is difficult.
On Fellness, there are public right-of-way footpaths that we can access. They are rarely used, and so if you do take them, the security switchboards will light up because you'll get reported by MOD staff or by locals who live there because they think you're trespassing. I wouldn't be guiding this if I wasn't a qualified mountain leader who has map and compass skills, good experience of this guided walk that I do. I have first aid qualifications, so I know how to sort of deal and treat with the likely emergencies that could happen out here.
That article from 1922 also names some of the people who died on the path. Several doctors travelling to attend patients, young women trying to reach partners, and island residents who got careless or who would sometimes stay in the mainland pubs too late and then try to race the tide back on a galloping horse. Because the part of the Broomway we walked isn't just a footpath. Under modern law, it is a byway open to all traffic, which means that in theory, you can take a horse or a tractor or anything that's road legal onto it. It would be a very, very bad idea to just drive onto the sands, but in theory, you could if you didn't get bogged down. Now, a few times a year, the village on the island and the main road are open for tourism, but not right now, not in 2020, which means that right now there is only one way for the average person to get onto Fellness Island. But there are two ways to leave. We could go off the rights of way, trespass onto military land, and then very soon after get escorted off by soldiers, assuming we weren't arrested. Or we could just walk back. Ready when you are!
द मीनांग रोड नेपाल। वैसे तो नेपाल के रोड्स दुनिया के खतरनाक रोड्स माने जाते हैं, मगर ये अलग बात इंटरनेट पर मौजूद वीडियोस और वेबसाइट में इनका जिक्र तक नहीं किया जाता। नेपाल का मेनांग रोड सतह समंदर से 2329 फीट बुलंद है। ये रोड टोटली जिगजैग है। तेजी से चलती हवा और तंग रोड की वजह से भी ये खतरनाक है। इसके अलावा शदीद बारिशों की वजह से भी रोड पर अक्सर फिसलन रहती है। इन सब से हटकर सबसे खतरनाक इस रोड पर गिरते वाटरफॉल्स हैं, जो हादसात का सबब बनते हैं। इन वाटरफॉल्स का बहाव बहुत ही तेज होता है। यहाँ से अगर आपकी गाड़ी फिसली तो गहरी खाई में ही गिरेगी और सड़क के इन हिस्सों पर किसी किस्म के बैरियर्स नहीं लगाए गए। Number 3.
This is part 2 of the mysterious paranormal incidents that occur on the Karak Highway, otherwise known as the most haunted highway in the world. At night, while driving on this highway, you may find yourself stuck behind a yellow Volkswagen Beetle, driving painfully slow. And when you try to pass it, somehow you realize the car is in front of you again, driving just as slow as before. Fed up, you drive right next to the car to see who might be inside until you realize there's no one there. Some people, after passing the car, have witnessed it speed up to overtake them only to slam on its brakes again when it does. Since the 1950s, this yellow Volkswagen Beetle has stalked the drivers of the Karak Highway, trying to trap them into having an accident, which is unfortunately not uncommon. Do you have an experience with the yellow Volkswagen? Let me know in the comments and like for more content about Asian urban legends. I'll see you next time. Bye!
I'm alive, free from the cage full of lies. All they're gonna say is how we make it. I'm sorry that you feel that